Have you ever paused in the quiet aftermath of a truly profound moment of connection, that electric wave of release that feels like the universe exhaling through you, and wondered, deep down, what age you're most likely to have your best orgasm? Not just any fleeting spark, but the one that rewires your sense of self, that whispers you finally unlocked a door within. It's a question that stirs something primal and vulnerable in us all, isn't it? Because at its core, it's not about the years on the calendar. It's about the quiet evolution of trust, the deepening of emotional connection, and the courage to claim your own pleasure without apology. I'm the intimacy doctor, real talk, real science, real intimacy. And today, we're leaning into that curiosity together, not with shame or sensationalism, but with the gentle honesty that comes from understanding our bodies and hearts as intertwined allies. Picture us sitting across from each other in a sunlit room, a cup of tea steaming between us as we unpack this. Because here's the truth I've seen time and again in my work with couples and individuals. The path to that pinnacle isn't a straight line marked by youth or novelty. It's woven through the fabric of our relationships, our self-awareness, and the science that illuminates why certain chapters of life bloom with such unexpected grace. Let's start where the research meets the raw pulse of human experience. Studies from places like the Kinsey Institute and Natural Cycles have sifted through thousands of voices, women sharing their stories of climax and consistency. And what emerges is both surprising and profoundly affirming. For many women, that sweet spot, the age you're most likely to have your best orgasm, lands squarely in the mid-30s, around 36 or so. It's not a random number. It's the convergence of lived wisdom. By then, the awkward experiments of our 20s, those tentative explorations laced with self, doubt and the pressure to perform, have given way to a quieter confidence. Hormonally, yes, things shift. Estrogen levels stabilize in ways that can heighten sensitivity without the chaos of earlier cycles. But the real alchemy, it's psychological. Relationship science tells us that in our 30s, attachment styles often mature. From the anxious clinging of youth to a more secure base, where trust isn't earned in grand gestures but in the daily rhythm of showing up for each other. Think about it. How many of us in our early 20s were navigating intimacy through the fog of unhealed wounds or mismatched expectations? That can dim the spark, turning what should be a shared celebration into a performance review. Yet, as we cross into this era, emotional intelligence steps in like a steady hand. We learn to name our needs not in whispers of fear, but in the clear light of self-awareness. I need to feel seen before I can let go, you might say to your partner, and suddenly, that vulnerability becomes the bridge. Research backs this beautifully. Women in their 30s report orgasm consistency climbing to around 60%, up from the mid-50s in younger years, precisely because they've honed that skill of communication. It's not louder voices, it's deeper listening, and for men, the data whispers a similar evolution, though often peaking a touch earlier. Yet satisfaction holds steady when emotional health is prioritized over physical prowess alone. What do you think about this shift? Have you noticed your own sense of pleasure deepening as the years layer on, like sediment building a richer soil? Drop a thought in the comments. Your reflection might just be the permission slip someone else has been waiting for. From here, it flows so naturally into the heart of what makes any intimate moment transcendent, the emotional connection that underpins it all. You see, the age you're most likely to have your best orgasm isn't isolated to biology. It's cradled in the psychology of relationships, where trust acts as both guardian and guide. Imagine a couple I've worked with, let's call them Alex and Jordan, mid-30s, both carrying the subtle scars of past heartbreaks. Early on, their encounters were charged but guarded, like dancing on a ledge. The release was there, but it felt borrowed, not owned. Then came the work of emotional intelligence. Those late night talks, not about fixing problems, but about feeling them fully. What if we just breathe together first? Jordan suggested one evening, and in that pause, trust bloomed. Behavioral research from the Journal of Sexual Medicine echoes this. Couples who practice mindful attunement, tuning into each other's emotional cues, see orgasm rates rise not because of technique alone, but because the body finally relaxes into safety. This is relationship science at its most compassionate, understanding that intimacy isn't a solo sprint, but a shared rhythm. When we foster that emotional connection, we dissolve the invisible barriers, those whispers of "am I enough?" or "will they stay?" that can mute our fullest expression. And the practical beauty: start small today. Set aside 10 minutes before intimacy to share one unfiltered feeling from your day. No solutions, just witness. Watch how that builds a reservoir of trust, turning potential relationship problems into opportunities for deeper bonding. It's conflict resolution reimagined, not as battle, but as bridge, building. Over time, this emotional health becomes the soil where pleasure takes root, unhurried and profound. As we linger here, doesn't it feel like a gentle unraveling? That same mid-30s window often marks a turning point in self-awareness, where we begin to shed the scripts handed to us by culture or convention. Science from the NIH highlights how orgasm rates stabilize and even improve across ages, with women in their 40s and beyond reporting not just frequency, but quality, those lingering, full-bodied waves that echo long after. Why? Because by then, we've often confronted the shadows, the insecurities that once hijacked our joy, the attachment patterns that kept us armored. Emotional intelligence teaches us to pause and ask, what am I truly craving here? Not just touch, but presence. And in answering, we reclaim agency. Let me share a story that always moves me, anonymized of course, from a client named Elena. At 38, after a decade of pouring her energy into career and family, she hit a wall. Not of desire waning, but of disconnection from her own body. I felt like a spectator in my own life, she confided. We dove into relationship advice rooted in behavioral research, mapping her emotional triggers, journaling prompts to cultivate self-compassion. One exercise, a daily pleasure inventory, noting 3 non-sexual sensations that lit her up, from the warmth of sunlight on skin to the laugh lines around her partner's eyes. Within months, her experiences transformed. The age you're most likely to have your best orgasm became hers, right there in the present, because she'd learned to integrate intimacy with her evolving self. No magic pill, just consistent, realistic steps. Breathe into discomfort, communicate desires as gifts, not demands. If this resonates, have you ever experienced something similar? That quiet reclamation of your own narrative. Share in the comments. Your story could light a path for someone scrolling in the dark. And oh, how this leads us seamlessly into the later chapters, where the narrative of pleasure doesn't fade but refracts through the prism of wisdom. Far from the myth of decline, studies like those from the Kinsey Institute reveal that for 20% of women over 60, orgasms aren't just present. They're more satisfying than ever before, with over half climaxing consistently with partners. It's a testament to the enduring power of emotional connection, where years of practiced trust create a canvas for unscripted joy. Men, too, find that beyond the physical shifts of 50 and onward, emotional health nurtured through open dialogue and shared vulnerabilities sustains vitality. Relationship problems that once loomed large, they've been alchemized through conflict resolution honed over decades, turning friction into fuel. This isn't about chasing youth, it's about honoring the arc. In my practice, I see elders who describe intimacy as a slow, burning fire, less frantic, more enveloping because they've mastered the art of presence. The science aligns, arousal patterns may evolve, but when paired with self-awareness and mutual attunement, satisfaction soars. Practical takeaway: embrace the wisdom audit in your relationships, reflect on what delights you now, communicate it tenderly, and release what no longer serves. Whether you're 28 or 82, this builds the emotional intelligence that makes every moment ripe for discovery. Pause with me here. What emerges for you when you imagine pleasure not as a peak to conquer, but a horizon that widens with time? If this stirs something, tap that like button. It's a quiet way to amplify these conversations for those who need them most. As we weave these threads, psychology, science, the tender work of daily connection, it's clear that the age you're most likely to have your best orgasm is less a fixed point and more a constellation, illuminated by how we tend to our inner worlds. It's in the 30s for many, where confidence crests like a wave finally breaking free. In the 40s and beyond, where depth replaces dazzle, even in golden years where legacy meets liberation. But across all, the constants are emotional health, that sacred trust and the self-awareness to say, "This is mine to feel fully." Relationship science reminds us, intimacy thrives when we approach it with curiosity, not conquest. So let's make it actionable, your homework if you choose it. This week, invite a moment of unhurried touch with yourself or a loved one, eyes locked, breaths synced. Notice the emotions that arise, name them softly, and let them inform the flow. In doing so, you're not just enhancing pleasure, you're fortifying the bonds that make life rich. We've journeyed far together today, from that initial spark of wonder to this shared exhale of insight. If these words have touched a chord in your pursuit of real intimacy, deeper emotional connection, or smarter relationship advice, I invite you to subscribe to The Intimacy Doctor. Right here, we keep it real with science, stories, and strategies for thriving hearts. Hit that notification bell too, so you never miss a video diving into the nuances of trust, communication, attachment, or the quiet revolutions of emotional intelligence. And if you're hungry for more on how self-awareness can transform everyday conflicts into catalysts for closeness, check out my next video on the hidden language of desire in long-term love. It's a natural extension of everything we've explored, with tools to make your connections even more resilient. Thank you for being here, for leaning in with open hearts. Until next time, may your path be one of gentle unfolding, profound presence, and orgasms, whatever age they grace you. That remind you of your infinite capacity for joy. Take care,